Do you remember making a silhouette of your face in elementary school? Well, we are bringing back this nostalgic art form, but with a tech-savvy twist. Tamara is here to show you how to create beautiful silhouette art of your family in under 30 minutes. T, I love that you're doing this. Silhouette art has been around for ages, but I love how every generation puts its own spin on it.
That's right. It's totally classic. And some people collect silhouettes, whether they're vintage or new. But I love the idea that it's something more personal. And this is actually a great grandparent gift with the holidays coming up. So I totally remember being in elementary school. Shout out to my grade 2 teacher, Miss Forbes. And we did this the old school way with a projector. But I'm really grateful that technology's come a long way and made it both easier and faster.
Okay, so what's the first step?
So I still like the idea that we've got kind of old and new. I've sourced some vintage frames from a couple of Etsy shops. You can see Edward there, the completed version, and this is from Ben's Big Barn. And the first step is that you're just going to take a picture. So you don't need a fancy camera. I'm using my iPhone, and basically you just want your subject to be in profile against a clean white wall, and a couple things to make sure their hair's not too messy and that they don't have like a bulky shirt around their neck.
Okay, so the idea is you're just looking for high contrast.
Exactly. And then right in the Photos app, what I'm going to do are two things. So I'm going to up the contrast, and then I'm also going to convert that photo to black and white. And all this is just to make it easier to trace when you get to the next step, which is basically tracing it. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can go digital or analog, but what I'm doing is I'm taking the photo, I'm airdropping it to my iPad, and then I'm using an Apple Pencil in an app called Procreate. And the cool thing about this, it's very magical to me, is that you add a layer over the photo. So basically I can write with this pen. This is a Noah's picture. Then I can do my full outline, and then I'm actually taking that photo of him, I'm removing it, and what I'm left with is just the outline. It's so cool.
That is very cool. Now, is there another way to do it if you want to do it manually, T?
So if you want to do it manually, you're basically going to take that edited photo and print it off. You'll size it to the size of whatever picture frame you're using. You'll print it off, and then you're going to use tracing paper, and you're going to do the same thing. You'll tape your tracing paper on top and use, a fine-tipped pen to go over that outline. And either way, in the end, you're going to wind up with being able to have this traced outline of a profile.
Very cool. Now comes the arts and crafts part. What do we do next?
You're going to take your traced profile and you're going to use a glue that's not too wet. So I like a glue stick, and you're basically just going to adhere that silhouette tracing onto a piece of regular black construction paper. And the key now is to not rush. Take your time, use sharp scissors, and cut that out.
I think I recognize that silhouette. What do you do next?
The next part here is where you're going to just take your silhouette and attach it to your backing paper. So I would use something like double-sided tape. I actually have glue dots, but again, you don't want it to be wet, it's just to position it.
Looks great so far, T. So I imagine at the end it's about choosing some kind of a frame to give it that finishing touch.
I've got a couple of frames here, vintage frames from Helen's Art and Antiques. We've just popped it in there, and a really nice finishing touch is to add the child's name and age. And if you want them to do it in their handwriting, that could be really cute, but I'm a bit of a control freak, so I did it myself so that it's nice and neat. But that makes it even more giftable and personal.